How is everybody doing this morning? This is L.A.Kendrick with another tale from the vault of Would You Dare. Today we're going to be discussing a few things. But most importantly, I got that new book coming out next month, The Foes of God. And those of you that supported and participated in it, you have your character outlined in the book. As promised, keep my word, make sure that I take care of the fans. And that's what this page is for. Basically talking to the fans, and every now and then we may get off topic a little bit, but for the most part, this is for the fans. We talk about everything scientific, cryptid, supernatural, paranatural, ultra dimensional, whatever. Just things that you take with a grain of salt and that you might take for granted every day, and where your imagination stays. You keep a healthy imagination. So again, however you process it, that's the way you should take it. That's the way you should receive this information. And yeah, the new book will be out next month. And in the meantime, in between time, you guys get caught up on the other stuff. Skyhammer, The Paradox of Pain, The Destiny versus Chaos, the original book, the comic books that I have out, The Trials of Shabazz, and The Battle for Stonehenge. And we have the kids novel line, which is The Benefits of a Bully. And the other one, The Onyx-Eyed Kids, but it's part of the Benefits of a Bully series as well. So, with that being said, let me get right into it, because again, I don't want to take up too much of you guys' time. The party don't start till you walk in, and now that you're here, let's begin. This is the curious case of Barney and Betty Hill. And this was an American couple that had a strange UFO encounter, they say. And it's pretty lengthy, so I'm going to try to jump around and get to the good stuff. But as usual, we do it raw and unedited. And we do it so it's organic. We don't do a lot of editing or anything like that. We just find a topic and we go with it. But all right, let's go ahead and get to it. The UFO encounter. According to a variety of reports given by the Hills, the alleged UFO sighting happened about 10:30 p.m. September 19th, 1961. That's in 3 days. The Hills were driving back to Portsmouth, however you pronounce it, from a vacation in Niagara Falls and Montreal, just south of Lancaster, New Hampshire. Betty claimed to have observed a bright point of light in the sky that moved from below the moon and the planet Jupiter up to the west of the moon. While Barney navigated U.S. Route 3, Betty reasoned that she was. I'm trying to get this thing sized up right. She was observing a falling star, only it moved upward. Because it moved erratically and grew bigger and brighter, Betty urged Barney to stop the car for a closer look, as well as to walk their dog, Delsley. Barney stopped at a scenic picnic area just south of the Twin Mountain. Betty looked through binoculars, observed an odd-shaped craft flashing multicolored lights, traveled across the face of the moon. Because her sister had several years earlier had seen a flying saucer, Betty thought it might be what she was observing. Through binoculars, Barney observed what he reasoned was a commercial airliner traveling towards Vermont on its way to Montreal. However, he soon changed his mind because without looking as if it had turned, the craft rapidly descended in his direction. This observation caused Barney to realize this object was a plane. This object that was a plane was not a plane. They quickly returned to the car and drove towards Franconia Notch, a narrow mountainous stretch of the road. The Hills said they continued driving on the isolated road, moving slowly and very slowly through Franconia, or is it Francionia? Franconia, Francionia Notch, in order to observe the object as it came even closer. At one point, the object passed above a restaurant sign and signal tower on top of Cannon Mountain, and then came near the old man of the mountain. Betty testified that it was at least 1.5 times the length of the granite cliff profile, which was 40 feet long, and it seemed to be rotating. The couple watched as the silent, illuminated craft moved erratically and bounced back and forth in the night sky. About 1 mile south of Indian Head, they said the object rapidly descended towards the vehicle, causing Betty to panic and causing Barney to stop in the middle of the highway. The huge silent craft hovered about 80 to 100 feet above the hills Chevrolet 1957 Bel Air and filled the entire view in the windshield. It reminded Barney. It reminded Barney of his pistol he had in his pocket. He stepped away from the vehicle and moved closer to the object, using the binoculars. Barney claimed to have seen 8 to 11 humanoid uh, figures in the craft's window, seeming to look at him. In unison, all but one figure moved to what appeared to be a panel on the rear wall of the hallway and encircled the front. Let me see. The front portion of the craft. I'm trying to shrink this down a little bit. The one remaining figure continued to look at Barney and communicated a message telling him to stay where you are and keep looking. Barney had a recollection of observing the humanoid forms wearing glossy black uniforms and black caps. Red lights on what appeared to be bat-wing fins began to telescope out of the sides of the craft, and a long structure descended from the bottom of the craft. The silent craft approached to what Barney estimated was within 50 feet overhead and 300 feet away from him. On October 21st, 1961, Barney reported to the National Investigative Committee on Aerial Phenomena, NIC. It's called a NICAP, I guess, NICAP for the abbreviation. Investigator Walter Webb that the beings were somehow not human. Barney tore the binoculars away from his eyes and ran back to his car. In a near hysterical state, he told Betty, "They're going to capture us." He saw the object again, shifts its location. He saw the object again shift its location directly above the vehicle. He drove away as fast as he could, telling Betty to look for the object. She rolled down the window and looked up, and almost immediately the hills heard a rhythmic series of beeping or buzzing sounds, which they seemed to bounce off the trunk of the vehicle. The car vibrated, and a tingling sensation passed through the Hills' bodies. The Hills said that then they experienced an onset of an altered state of consciousness that left their minds dulled, and a second series of beeping or buzzing sounds returned the couple to full consciousness. They found that they had traveled nearly 35 miles south, but had only a vague, spotty memories of this section of the road. They recall making a sudden stop, sharp and unplanned turn as well, encountering a roadblock, and then observing a fiery orb in the road. And I'm gonna skip down a little bit, because again, this is very lengthy. They had hypnosis, and let me see. They had them separated when they put them on hypnosis so that they wouldn't collaborate on the stories or feed off of each other. They're saying so. A lot of people were skeptical, so they did the hypnosis thing, so that way they were able to regress and see exactly what was taking place with them, and if this was some kind of hoax or some kind of a farce. Let's see. Okay, let me skip to Barney real quick. Barney related that he and Betty were taking him onto the disc-shaped craft where they were separated. He was escorted to a room by 3 of the men and told to lie down on a small rectangular exam table. Barney's narrative of the exam was fragmented. He continued to keep his eyes closed for most of the exam. A cup-like device was placed over his genitals. He did not experience an orgasm. Though Barney thought that a sperm sample had been taken. The men scraped his skin. Thought it was aliens. But the men scraped his skin and peered into his ears and mouth. A tube or cylinder was inserted to his anus. Oh boy, the anal probe, and there it is, and quickly removed. Someone felt his spine and seemed to be counting his vertebrae. And they were saying that these beings were communicating with them telepathically. Under hypnosis, this is Betty's session. Betty's account was similar to her 5 dreams about the UFO abduction, with some notable differences, mainly pertaining to her capture and release. Also, the technology on the craft was different. The short men differed significantly in physical appearance, and the sequential order of the abduction differed. Betty, Barney, and Betty's memories in the hypnotic regression were, however, consistent with one another. Betty exhibited considerable emotional distress when recounting her capture and examination. Simon ended one session early because tears were falling from her cheeks. Tears were falling down her cheeks. Simon gave Betty. This is the hypnosis person, and Simon gave Betty a post-hypnotic suggestion that she could sketch a copy of the star map that she later described as a three-dimensional projection similar to a hologram. Though the map she saw had many stars, she drew only those that stood out in her memory, and the map consisted of 12 prominent stars connected by lines, and three lesser ones that formed a distinctive triangle. She said she was told the stars were connected by solid lines formed by trade routes, whereas dashed lines were to less traveled stars. Okay, so there that is, and they said that she did a. They said that there's some truth to it, and later on she did a. They figured out a teacher of some sort figured out that they had been the star map is supposed to be of Zeta Reticula, and but I don't want to take up too much of that. I don't want to take up too much of you guys' time. It's very long, and Zeta Reticula is about 39 light years from Earth. So when they mapped it out, there was some validity to what she said and what she had seen. But what I want to do now is go to the video. There's an actual video of what was said. And again, you guys, this is YouTube, so make sure YouTube is fair use. So I'm gonna run the video of what was going on.
It marks 60 years since Betty and Barney Hill, a New Hampshire couple, were allegedly abducted by aliens. It was the first widely publicized report of an alien abduction in the U.S., and as I came to learn, it shaped perception and popular culture.
Not to carry it too far, but they were kind of the Adam and Eve of alien abduction.
A quiet, unassuming New Hampshire couple with a story that would shape what's out of this world.
Do you think that E.T. would look the way that E.T. looks without Betty and Barney Hill?
No.
Bill Ross, a professor emeritus at UNH, is responsible for curating the school's extensive collection on the Betty and Barney Hill abduction.
Betty and Barney Hill's collection gets 17% of our web traffic.
As the story goes, on September 19th, 1961, Betty and Barney Hill were driving home from their honeymoon in Montreal. As they drove through New Hampshire's White Mountains, they said they were followed by what felt like a spotlight. Eventually, they pulled over and said they spotted a ship floating above their car.
They were kind of enveloped by this light from the ship that they had seen and then kind of blacked out.
When they came to, they said they were in their car, miles down the road, and couldn't remember the last 2 hours.
There were mysterious marks on their car. The zipper on Betty's dress was torn and it was stained. The strap on Barney's binoculars were broken.
For the most part, they kept their story quiet. But after experiencing nightmares and anxiety, the couple turned to hypnosis to see whether there were suppressed memories of the event. It appears there were. Eventually, a Boston reporter picked up their story, and readers went crazy to learn more.
They went public basically to try to own their story because, they were kind of thrust into the limelight without their permission.
That story, believe it or not, has had a lasting impact.
My fascination is just with the impact that their story had.
And Bill Ross says he himself is a skeptic, but there are, of course, a lot of believers out there. You can learn much more about this story yourself by visiting the Special Collections Library at the University of New Hampshire.
All right. So there you have that aspect of it. So there you go. That's the quick video. Again, it's very early. So I think it's like 4. What time is it? I was bored, you guys. It was 4:50. It's 4:56, and I can't stop writing. So there you have it. What do you guys think, man? Is there any truth to this? Any validation? Would you want to be, anally probed? Would you want to have the things put across your genitalia like they're reporting? Would you dare want to be caught in this situation, in these circumstances? This is pretty wild. So I don't know exactly what to think about the story. I know anything and everything is possible. I do know that. So I don't rule out that there may have been something that happened. Again, these are not my stories. This is just something that I came across, and you guys are sharing it with me. So, all right, like I said, let me go ahead and wrap this thing up. Again, make sure you check out the new book next month. And I appreciate all you guys that participated. Oh, and I want to thank, we made 120 followers or subscribers on YouTube. And I really appreciate you guys. Let's keep going, I guess. I'm not doing this for profit or anything like that. I mean, if anybody wants to donate, throw 20 cents out there. I'm not greedy. 25 cents. I'm just talking right now. So I don't really mean that either. So with that being said, this has been L.A.Kendrick with another Tale from the Vault of Would You Dare? Spooky as this is and creepy as this is, man, you can check it out yourself and get more information on it, because again, this was very long. This is longer than what I normally do, but yeah, make sure you check your homes, check all the dark recesses of your home, check your closets. Now, if you work late into the night and into the wee hours of the morning where there's limited light and visibility, make sure you check your surroundings. You're very mindful of them. Make sure you check under your car. Make sure you check inside of your vehicle, because you never know what's lurking in the dark, waiting to make you a story. And until next time, you guys fill in the rest.